Okay, here's what it takes to do that little sprite kit demo that showed the image picking. And the application is called myNewImagePicker. Let's just open it up. The couple of items in there that you need to look at first of all is that first main storyboard. That's what we start out with, right? And so there is 5 images down the center. There's a bunch of buttons to allow you to pick new images for each of the ones that you see from either the camera or the library, and that will work on the phone. And quit the game and play the game. So when the user selects play the game, they run into this game scene here. And let's go to the view did load method. Or I'm sorry, did move to view method to see the whole setup. Okay. First off, in the did move to view method, we start playing some background music. We do it in a repeat action forever SK action. We allocate an array then that's going to hold the segmented control buttons, and it's got each of our initials in them, and a spray button and a quit button. We then position that control so it's in the, I guess, right spot for the iPhone, for the various phones. We then go ahead and add the target. And the target is a selector here, a function, mySwitchChange, that's going to get called later, a method that's going to get called later, whenever the switch value changes. And that's going to allow us to use the UI segmented control delegate method in our own game scene. And we'll take a look at that. We then add the control subview, and then we set up the physics world. We set the physics contact delegate to our cell. We create a physics body that's going to go around the scene that everything's going to bump into. We'll see that in a moment. We then put up some labels here that explain what's going to happen. We just run this myLabels method immediately below. And then we play background music again, which doesn't seem to be necessary, but it seems like I'm doing that here in this method. So it'll play the background music one more time, because we're already playing it in a repeat action forever up at the top of the screen here. Okay. Moving on now, when the switch changes, so that's the that UI segmented control button up at the top, or segmented control up at the top. And at the different values there, when the initials are picked, the various sprites are dropped. And you see the names, those sprite node with image name, Danny, Mike, Andy, Cindy, and Dad. And those all exist in images, XC assets here, along with the app icon. Okay. When the user selects the spray button, we make a sprite node with every sprite color available, and we just pulled those sprite colors from the .h file, from the definitions. And that is giving us red color, black color, dark gray, light gray, white, etc. For each sprite, we locate it. So this spreads them out across the screen. And then we declare a physics body for that sprite. We tell each sprite that it's affected by gravity, and give each sprite a restitution value, and that'll have it bounce back to its original location in the physics demo. We do a replace mode, blend mode, because I think that's the cheapest one. We name all these sprites color sprite. We give them a contact test bit masks that we'll use later when we detect collisions. And we add all the sprites to the scene. Each sprite then rotates, waits for between 5 seconds with a range of 1.5 seconds, and removes itself. All right. Here, when the user touches a button, we drop each image, each sprite image 1 through 5 into the scene. Those images are defined with the camera. or the photo library, or default to the images up at the top of the scene in the images.xc assets file here. So if you don't pick any images from the camera or your library, these images will drop in. If you do pick images, then image 1 through 5 on that initial screen here, on that main storyboard 1 through 5, will drop in at that point, upon touching a button. And we position the sprite at the location, give it a physics body, a mass, and a restitution. And then because the sprites can be really big, the images can be big from the camera that you pick. If they're big, we scale them a little bit smaller than the default scale. We run an action, we wait for 15 seconds, leave them on the screen for 15 seconds, remove them. And at that point, we also add an emitter to the sprite, so that that emitter then stays where the sprite is and puts a little border, an edge, and we'll get to see that. That's it for the game scene. The view controller sets everything up, so that really has all the delegate functions for the view controller. So let's take a look at that. Right? When the user presses, first of all, when the user presses the play button, we just load the scene and we set the sprite images and load the scene. Okay. Or we set up an image, a delegate method to receive the images that were selected from the picker controller, and that's here, right? Image picker controller did finish picking media with info. And the other delegate method for the image picker controller is image picker controller did cancel. So those are here. In each case, when the image picker controller returns, depending on which image was selected to be replaced, we replace it. So if it's the first image, we replace our first image. If it's the second image, we replace our second image, and so on through all 5. In each case, when the user wants to pick an image from the library here, so image 1 through 5 from the library, we present that image picker controller here. In this case, we present a image picker controller that picks the third image. In this case, we do an image picker controller that picks the second image. Up here, the first image, and so on. So they're called, myPicker 1 through myPicker 5. When the user picks an image pressing on the camera button, that's pick my image 1 through 5. Those are here. We first check to see if the camera is available, and if it's not, we'll give the user an alert to tell them that it's not available. And if it is available, we will select the source type for that image to the camera, or to the photo, to the camera, up here. If it's not available, we'll select the source type, set the source type to the photo library. Okay, so pick my image 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Are the pickers that will first check for the camera, and if the camera is available, use it, and if not, use the photo library. Select my image 1 through 5 from library here are the functions that will just pick them from the library. When we look back at the storyboard, select my image 1 through 5 are called with this button. Pick my image are done with the camera. Bad names. That's about it. So let's pick a destination and run the game. Okay. So we'll put it on an iPhone 6, and we'll go ahead and run it. As this emulator loads, we'll see this first default screen here. If we're in the emulator and we pick the camera, since it's not available, we'll get an alert. We'll be presented with the photo library. We can then pick that image. We can scale that image, zoom it up, and select it. And we can do the same for each of the other images. Okay. Do it for the top 3. When we press play, the game begins. Starts playing some raucous music. When we press any of these buttons, they drop images in. These are the sprites of the family. They'll go ahead and bounce. If they hit each other, they'll make an owl sound. We can spray the colors in. That was the spray function that we saw, the spray method that we saw before. They'll make noises when they hit other sprites, but not each other. So if we drop some of these sprites in here that we did by pressing the button, right where we get sprites 1 through 5 dropped in and then it causes spray, we'll get some good sounds when they hit. If we drop our photo pictures in, they'll make a different sound when they hit the spray. Let's try that. They'll make that similar sound. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching.